Hey, welcome to this lesson on how to learn your guitar fretboard. I'm Steve Krenz for Guitar Gathering, your home for good, solid guitar learning, the real nuts and bolts of guitar learning. Today we're going to be talking about how to learn the fingerboard of your guitar. A lot of folks know the open position, these notes down here, but they are less familiar with this area up above the 7th fret. They're less familiar with that area, which is about, 30 or so odd notes up there. So they do pretty good around here, and they do pretty good up in this area, but they may not know this middle area. That's what we're going to talk about. Now I'm going to give you 3 different approaches for learning the notes on your instrument. There's no substitute for learning the notes on the instrument. You just have to know what this note is and what that note is. All of those are part of guitar playing, and if you want to be sure that you're playing the right thing, you have to know where you're at on the neck. So that's what this lesson is about. So we're going to be talking about 3 different approaches. The first one of them is to know physically the notes on the strings. Now, there's going to be a PDF that goes along with this that you can download in the links below, and that PDF will guide you through all of these lessons and give you some diagrams as well. So make sure you download that. Let's get started. The first approach is just physically memorizing the notes of your instrument. So let's talk about that for a second. It's kind of like your multiplication tables. If you remember all the way back to middle school and elementary school days when you had to memorize a large group of things. It wasn't just the notes. I can give you a chart. You can look at the download and you'll get a chart of what the notes are. That's not what the deal is. What the deal is actually learning them and internalizing. The memorization is the part of the problem. So let's go ahead and get started. First thing we need to know, if you're just starting out, that the musical alphabet goes from A to G. So there's not an M or a P or a T in music. It goes from A to G and then it just repeats. Now each of these strings, a guitar has 6 strings. Each of the strings has a letter name that goes with that. So that's the first little tidbit that you need to learn is the names of the strings. So let's go through those. The strings are numbered from 1st to 6th. The first string is the one closest to the floor. It's the highest in pitch. And that is an E. Each one of these has a letter name, and that's the first string is an E. The second string is a B. The third string is a G. The fourth string is a D. Fifth string is an A, and the sixth string, the one closest to the ceiling, the lowest in pitch, the sixth string, is also an E. So E's are on the outside. The 2 outside strings are the same thing. They're E's. So if we did that, E, first string, B, G, D, A, E. So that's your first task, is to memorize the open strings of your guitar. Now from there, we can start learning the map, how the guitar is laid out. Now you notice you've got dots on your instrument here. Now I've got my nylon string Godin here, and it has little dots right up here at the top, but a standard guitar would have them maybe in the middle of the fretboard. So, but everybody has dots at the same places on a guitar. There's a dot at the 3rd fret. There's one in the 3rd fret, and then there's also one at the 5th fret. There's one at the 7th fret. There's one at the 9th fret, and then look at the 12th fret. At the 12th fret, we have a double dot. So there's a double dot at the 12th fret. Now that's important. There are 12 steps between notes, between an A all the way up to the next A. There's 12 little steps. Each step is a fret's worth on guitar. So the double dot, let's talk about that. If the note is E, as it is in the 6th string open, where it is at the double dot is also an E. It's just a repeat of that note. All right, so that's true for all of them. So the first string open is an E. First string 12th fret, the double dot, is also an E. Second string is a B. 12th fret, double dot, is also a B. And that goes through for G, D, A, and E. So there's always that reference point. The double dot is always going to be the same thing as what it would be open. All right, so now let's kind of go through what these other notes are in between there. Now, here's how music works. We have, if you notice a piano has black and white keys, right? Well, there's a couple of spaces where the white keys are next to each other. A B and a C, and an E and an F. Those two pairs of notes have no black key in between. So how that reflects on guitar is between those two notes, a B and a C and an E and an F, there's no note in between. They're right next to each other. Everything else, we're not talking about sharps or flats just yet, everything else is going to be 2 frets worth away from each other. So, and what that is in music is we talk about half steps and whole steps. So 1 fret, each fret from here to here is a half step in music. That would be the equivalent of a pianist going from a white key to the next key up, whether it's black or white, okay? Now, if I have 2 of these half steps put together, that's a whole step. Now, a whole step is an F to a G, a C to a D, an A to a B. Anything to its next door neighbor is a whole step, except for our 2 pairs of notes, which is a B and a C and E and F. So those are the rules, okay? Those are the rules. So with that, let's start learning, all right? So here we go. We have open E on the 6th string. We'll learn the 6th string notes first. We have open E, and then just the next fret up, 1st fret, that is an F, okay? Now, an F to a G, that is 2 frets worth, because that's a whole note. So there is a G at the 3rd fret with that first dot, okay? Now, a G, remember how I said it goes from A to G and then it repeats? So at G, it just goes, the next note up is another A, and that is 2 frets up from that. So there's an A at the 5th fret. B is at the 7th fret, and then here's one of our half steps, B to C. That's one of our 1 fret ones. So C is at the 8th. D is at the 10th, and then E, like we said, the double dot is at the 12th fret. Remember, how we count those on guitar is by the frets. So here's 1, 2, 3, that's the 3rd fret, 3, 4, 5, that's the 5th fret. So those numbers again, and letters that go with them, E, F, G at the 3rd, A at the 5th, B at the 7th, C at the 8th, D at the 10th, E at the 12th. All right? So those are the notes. There's going to be a diagram in that PDF that goes along with this. Now, so let's count them up together. Let's say them and play them together. E, F, G, A, B, C, D, E. If you went backwards, E, D, C, B, A, G, F, E. Now I'm just going to go through these exercises real quick. If you want to really dig deep in this and really learn it, which you need to spend some time with it, you need to go to the workout that goes along with this short little lesson. And there's going to be a workout that goes with this that I take you through for about 45 minutes or so. I take you through all of these exercises and guide you through them, and that will help you really learn where these notes are on your guitar, so you're never lost again on your instrument. Okay? So we're just going to introduce the exercises for you real quick. So now that's the 6th string. Now let's jump around on that. So if I said, hey, where's a G? Well, that would be E, F, and then 2 frets up, a G. If I said, hey, where's a C? Well, E, F, G, A, B, C at the 8th. If I said, hey, where's an F? Well, E, F. That would be down there for the 1st fret note. But then we also have in music, we have adjustments to notes. So we've learned 8 of the notes so far. We're now going to talk about the adjustments to the notes. You can adjust any note either up 1 fret's worth or down 1 fret's worth. So what that means on guitar, if I'm here, let's say on this G, and I wanted to go up in pitch, 1 fret, which is up this way, that would be called a G sharp. A G sharp. A G, but it's sharp, so that means we go up 1/2 step. Now, so if I said, hey, where's an F sharp? Well, here's F, and F sharp would be there. So that's how sharps work. Now, I can also adjust them down. So sharps go up in pitch. A thing called flats go down. So if I wanted a G, and then I go G flat, then I go the other direction. So flats go down the neck this way, sharps go up the neck this way. So we're talking about these between notes. So like, there's an F, there's a G, here is an F sharp, or it's also a G flat, depending on what perspective you're coming at it from. So those are the in-between notes there. All right, so that's one way to do it. We can go up and down on the 6th string, okay? Now, wait a minute, that 6th string is the same as the 1st string. So there's E, 1st finger, or 1st fret is also an F. 3rd fret is also a G, just like it was down here, because they're the same string, the same letter name. A, B is at the 7th, C is at the 8th, D is at the 10th, and then here, E is back at the 12th fret. So if we did some of these in-between notes, let's just test it out. If I said to you, hey, where's a, let's say an A flat? Well, we have to count it up. E, F, G, A, and then go back 1 step, 1 fret worth this way. That's an A flat. Here, tricky. What about an E flat? What would that be? There's an E. There's a high. Well, I can't get any lower than an open string, so I got to go up to the high E, and then go E flat. So, congratulations, you've already learned 1/3 of the notes on your guitar because both of these strings are the same. All right, so that's what it is on the 6th and the 1st string. Let's look at the 5th string. Let's take a look at the 5th string notes. A, then we have 2 frets up, A to B, it's a whole step. So there's B there. Then a 1/2 step up for C, so C is at the 3rd fret. 2 frets up is D at the 5th fret. 2 more frets up is an E at the 7th. A 1/2 step up for F at the 8th. G is at the 10th fret. A, the double dot, just like it would be the A down there, that's the open A, okay? So those are the notes on the 5th string. Let's go through them one more time. A, B at the 2nd, C at the 3rd, D at the 5th, E at the 7th, F at the 8th, G at the 10th, A at the 12th. All right, so you've learned the notes on the 6th string and the 5th string. Now, just for fun, the first exercise to help you learn the neck of the guitar is to do just that. Say and play the notes on the 6th string up and down. E, F, G, A, B, C, D. Okay, say them up and down. And then on the 5th string, do the same thing. A, B, C, D, E, F. And then after that, try and find, this is the next exercise, to try and find the notes that are the same on both of those strings. So here's an E, here's an E, there's an E on the 5th. So that's a good way to learn. Now you can, I'm not going to take you through each one of the different strings there, but you can get the PDF that has the diagrams in there. So one exercise that you can find that is great for doing these sorts of movements on the guitar is an octave exercise. So let's talk about octave exercises. An octave is 8 notes in between. An E, let's say up to an E up to an E, an A up to an A. Those two notes are related by a thing called an octave. So let's talk about octave exercises, which is going to help you learn these other strings based off of the 6th and the 5th. Now, here's how octaves work on guitar. Guitar is kind of like a pattern instrument. So if I have a G here, and if I go, here's how octaves work on these lower strings. You go down 2 strings, there's G, I skip the 5th string, I go down to the 4th string, and I go over 2 frets. Down 2 strings, so I'm 6th string, now I'm down to the 4th, and I go over 2 frets from where I was at, so now I'm at the 5th fret. That is an octave. So look at that shape. The shape is what I want you to see. Down 2 strings, over 2 frets. Now, whether you play it with your 1st and 4th finger or your 1st and 3rd, doesn't really matter at this point, but I just want you to see the shape. So any note, you can find its octave on the 4th string by relating it to where it is on the 6th string. So here, if I'm on an A at the 6th string, right here at the 5th fret, and I go down 2 strings, 4th string, over 2 frets, there's the octave for the A. So now that note we know is an A. What if I said a C? Well, where's the C? Well, I find the C on the 6th string, which is up here at the 8th fret, we just said. Then I go down 2 strings, over 2 frets, and so that means that that note is a C as well. So with that, you can find any note that is on the 6th, you can relate it to the same note on the 4th by that pattern, that octave trick. Now let me just mention here, hey Steve, what about these notes up here? Above this 12th fret. We've only talked about notes below the 12th fret. What about these notes above the 12th fret? Well, here is a great thing about guitar. It starts repeating. So here at the 1st fret is an F. If I go 12 frets up, which is what would be the 13th fret, 12 plus 1, that is also an F. So just like the open and the 12th fret are octave, everything plus 12 is an octave, so there's an F as well. What about a G at the 3rd fret? Well, I go up 12 frets from that. There's a G. So it just starts repeating up this way. So all of this kind of takes care of itself because it's just a repeat of the notes down here, just up 12 steps. So there you go. All right, so we found octaves on the 6th string, but that also works on the 5th string. So we've been able to deduce what the 6th and 5th string are, and now we were able to deduce what the 4th string notes are. If I have this C at the 5th string, if I go down 2 frets, or down 2 strings, so now I'm on the 3rd string, and go over 2 frets, there you go, I find the octave of that C. So now I can find my 3rd string notes by doing that same trick. If I go over here to a D at the 5th string, 5th fret, A, B, C, D, down 2 strings, over 2 frets, that gives us its D, its octave, okay? So do you see how that shape really lends itself to finding where the notes are on the 4th and the 3rd strings? So now that we know that, we've got octaves, we can determine where we are at on the 6th string, the 5th string, now the 4th string, now the 3rd string. Okay, so let's go one more. If this is a G, and then by my octave trick I can find out that the 4th string right there at the 5th fret is a G, well, does that keep working all the way up? And the short answer is yes, but you have to adjust it slightly. So if I'm on my 4th string, and I know that that's a G, now I still go down 2 strings, but this time I go over 3 frets, not 2. So I go over 1, 2, 3, and that now is a G as well. So that's the octave for the 4th and the 2nd string. Let's do another one, because that's kind of confusing. What if I was on an F on the 4th string? Well, D, E, F, okay? I go down 2 strings and then over 3 frets. 1, 2, 3. So that means the 2nd string note here at the 6th fret is an F as well. That's a G, that's an F. So by this octave trick, you can find your way on the 2nd string as well. Let's see if it works on the 3rd. So if I went to this, maybe this is an A, or let's do it here where we did it before. There's a C, then I do my octave. So now I found that 3rd string C. If I do the octave trick and I go down 2 strings, now I'm on the 1st string and I go over 3 frets, there's an octave C. So by the octave, you can find any note on the guitar now by relating it to lower octaves. So let's just practice that for a second. If I have an F here on the sixth string, remember, the first fret, if I go down 2 strings, over 2 frets, that's an F there. Okay, so if I put my first finger on that F, and I go, remember, this is the higher ones now, so if I go down 2 strings and over 3 frets, there's an F there. So now I found all the Fs there. And you could even relate this little trick backwards. So what is that note? Well, I go over 3 frets, down 3 frets, 1, 2, 3, then down 2 strings, and I can relate to that. Oh, well, I know what that is. That's an F, and you can just relate your way back. So that comes to the next exercise, which will help us learn where we are on the neck of the guitar by these positions. And that is finding a note, finding every one of a certain pitch on every string on the guitar. So what do I mean by that? It's like finding every E, okay? So if I asked you to find every E on the guitar, well, we have this open E, we have the 12th fret E, and that's all the E's that we have, because most guitars are about a 22 fret. Some guitars are 24 fret, and you'd have another E up there, but those are the only 2 on there. On the 5th string, A, B, C, D, E, there's one there. If I go 12 frets up from that, that's way up here, there's another E. So far I have, what if I had the E there? Where's the next E for that? Well, 12 frets up, I end up with this E. On the 3rd string, where's an E there? Well, A, B, C, D, E, there's an E. And then that means there'd be one way up here. You won't hardly use that one. On the 2nd string, B, C, D, E, there's one there, 12 frets higher than that. There's there, open E, 12th fret E there. So we found every E on the guitar. Not most of them, every stinking one you have found with that relationship of relating things to octaves and the dots on your guitars and things like that. One more time. If I'm finding all the E's, it would be this. E, 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 E. Backwards. Let's see. Unlike piano, which only has one key for each note, a guitar can play the same note on a variety of strings. So that's one of the beautiful things of a guitar, but it can get confusing because we have so many multiples of different things. But that's one good exercise for learning the neck of your guitar, finding the notes, finding every E, find every G, find every A, that sort of stuff. First time you do it, it's going to be tough. But just think through those mathematical little calculations I gave you there. If you know memorize the 6th and 5th string notes, and then from there you can do your octaves and find out what you want to find out where you need to go from that. So that's another exercise in learning the neck of your guitar. That's one of the great exercises in learning your neck. Okay, let's talk about. I've gone through so many different things here. Okay, here's another way. Up until this point, we've been relating them. I was going to teach you 3 different ways of relating these notes on the neck. The first way is just kind of by memorizing and doing little octave and jumps, patterns. Okay. Another way to do it is to learn the neck, not just where the notes are, but how they sound. So one of the ways we can control how they sound is to do little tricks like this. We're going to do a major scale. Okay. So if I had a major scale, let's say I'm going to do a C major scale right here at the 2nd string. Now remember the old Sound of Music, do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti, do. Okay, that's what we're going to try and play. So there's the first one. You'll notice I'm not telling you the names of the notes yet. I want you to do it by sound. Is that one? No, that's not right. Da, 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 da. Da, da. da, da, do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti, do. Okay, look, that's a major scale. I just played it. You can play that on any string, same pattern notes. Let your ear be your guide as to where the half steps and whole steps go. The thing you need to remember is this: do, let's see, do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti, do. Don't get worried about the names of the syllables there. That's just a musical way of notating that. Da, 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 da. I can even go down. Da, 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 da. So I'm relating the notes not by their letter names as much, but I'm wanting you to understand where they are in pitch relationship to each other. Okay? Da, 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 da. This is a great, very, very helpful exercise. Now, if you know your scales and a little bit of music theory, you can say the notes: C, D, E, F, G, A, B, C. If I wanted to think of those with the dots on your guitar, okay, let's think of those with the dots on our guitar. So we have an open G here on the 3rd string. Let's do that one. Now remember how I said at the 12th fret, the double dot, that's the octave. Well, the fifth of a note in G, that would be a D, and that is here at the 3rd dot up. That's always going to be the 5th, no matter on any open string. All of those notes in relation to each other at the 7th fret, the 3rd dot, is going to be the 5th. So what's one more way to do it is by doing scales up and down the neck just on one string, F, G, A, B, and just count them up and down. That's one way to do it. Okay. All right. So we've talked about playing and saying each note up and down. We've talked about finding each E, find every F, finding every note of a certain kind. We've talked about scales, moving those up and down. Another way to learn your neck that is kind of a better, not a better, but just another way to activate your ear, okay, is to take a simple melody. We're going to do a simple melody here, which is C, C, B, G, A, B, C. Oh, Somewhere Over the Rainbow. We'll just do that phrase. Now, there's nothing magical about that phrase. It's just easily recognizable, and it's got a few jumps in it that I liked. We have the C. Hey, that's an octave. I recognize that. 2 frets, 2 strings down, 2 frets over. Then I do a half step. Listen. That relationship is just 1 half step, 1 fret's worth from each other. Now, being able to take a simple melody, you can start it anywhere on the neck and try and figure out that melody. Start on any finger, anywhere on the neck, try and figure out that melody. Remember that game you used to play when you were kids? You turn all the cards over, you lay a bunch of cards out, turn them all over, and then you try and find pairs of things. You know, you turn over one, and that's a cherry or whatever, and then you, oh, well, I remember the other cherry was over here or whatever. That matching game with cards, that's kind of what we're trying to do now with our ear. We're training our ear. Hey, this C and that note, they're matched together, even though they're two strings over, 2 frets over. That octave and that relationship there, da, da, just 1 step off is 1 step back. All right, now that's going to be a very frustrating exercise at the beginning, but here's something that let me just blow your mind. You can play that exercise with any finger anywhere on the note, anywhere on the neck. Okay, don't believe me? I'm just going to pick one. Let's pick. I'm gonna do my 2nd finger, and I'm gonna do it. Let's start with this note. Okay. That's the octave. 1 step down. I have to jump a string. You go 1 fret over. What if I did my pinky on that note? Oh, now the octave has changed to place, but it's on a different string. So it's, and now as you're hunting and finding, you're going to do all kinds of wrong notes. Just work it out one step at a time. You're matching the cards, right? Dun, dun. Oh, I turned over the wrong one. Dun, dun. That's the wrong one. Dun, dun. Oh, there it is. And then you figure out the rest of the notes from that. The first time you're going to get it, you're going to make a ton of wrong choices. Okay? That's just how it is. Don't get frustrated by that. That's part of the learning process. The more you do it, the more you realize that this sound is that card over there, is that note right there. And slowly, your brain will start to make better choices with these finding notes by ear. And so that's a great exercise as well. Take any melody, just start playing it. You can play your Happy Birthday, you can do Somewhere Over the Rainbow, you can do whatever your favorite song is, I don't care. And try and find it on guitar. See, any sort of awkward fingering you can find, and that will help you learn not just the names of the notes. I can give you a chart that has the names of the notes on them. Okay, anybody can learn the names of the notes. That's not what we're talking about. I'm trying to you to learn the pitches of the notes, where these notes are in relation to your ear, what your ear wants to do. But Steve, what importance is that? Soloing. When you're trying to create something and trying to do it as a solo, you want to try and make your hands do what your ear is telling them to do. They make better choices when you do dumb little exercises like this. All right, so there you go. I've given you all kinds of different ways. We've learned how to do the notes by just memorization. We've learned how to do the notes by relating them to one another. We did our scale exercise down like that. And we also learned to do the pitches by finding a simple melody and doing it, trying to find it on guitar in different ways. So I'm relating it to you not just with the names of the notes, but with where your fingers are and the finger patterns involved there. So if you're interested in learning more, come to the workout that we're going to do in the next time. That'll be a workout that goes along with this, and I'll take you through each of these exercises, and I guarantee you by the end of that workout, you will know all of these notes on the upper end of the guitar, and without any hesitation, you'll be able to find them. So that's where we want to go. Hey, I'm Steve Krenz for Guitar Gathering, and we will see you guys next time.